Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas. This is how to create a 2D style clicker game in Unity, and welcome to episode 7. So this time we're going to have a little panel on our screen which allows us to have some stats displayed on it, at least for now, saying bakers so many per second. And we'll do a couple of levels of auto maker so we can see what's going on there, and we'll also add in some sound effects. So let's start off with a little panel, let's say down here, which says how many bakers we've got cooking how many cookies per second. So I'm going to start by taking this status box right here. Hold Control, press D to duplicate, and I'm going to shrink it and bring it up to about here, and right click and rename. Let's have it stats display. Let's probably increase the size of it just a little bit, and within there let's have some text. So right click, UI and text. Let's just have it bakers : 0 at 0 per capital P per second, and let's put it into a nice place, maybe about there. Increase the font 24, and let's have it white, and I'm not going to bold it, so I'm just going to have this as simple as possible for now, but obviously you can take as much time as you need to get it just right. So right click, rename, let's have it baker display. So the way we're going to do this is within the script down here, global baker. If we open that up, and what we'll do is, because we already have this using Unity Engine.ui within here, we already have that namespace, we can currently add in a couple of lines of code which allow us to update this. So let's start by adding that as the variable. So public game object, and we'll have baker stats semicolon. And what I think I will quickly do, let me set the anchor points for all this first. I forgot to do that, didn't I? So we'll anchor this down here so it displays down here nicely. And the actual text itself, I'm going to have anchored at the top left. That's fine. So back in the script, what we'll do is add in, after void update and after current cache, we will have baker stats dot get component in the same way that we have done before. Text open close bracket dot text equals. Now we're going to have the same format as what we've got, so what I'll do is I will copy what we've typed there, paste it here, and modify it. So bakers, we'll do that as quote to close it, and then plus, and then we need to know how many bakers we actually have. So do we have anywhere that says what is our baker value? So our baker value is 50. Our purchase log, no, that doesn't. So we'll add in another game object. So we'll have public int, and we'll have it called number of bakers semicolon. So then obviously here we change that 0 to number of bakers, and then plus, and then quote, and then the space, our @ sign, and then another space, and then quote. And now we have to work out how many we're doing, or how many we're cooking per second. As it stands right now, the number of bakers and the number per second should be roughly the same, if I remember correctly. I'm just going to green that one out, so we'll change that to an annotation, change that to 10, save. I'm just going to quickly review what's going on here. So we should be able to buy a baker at 10. There we are. So it's doing, yeah, it is doing 1 per second, isn't it? So that's fine. So let's change that back to 50. So this is all part of testing, I will add. It's great to do this sometimes. So number of bakers, and we'll do public int bake per sec, semicolon. And we'll do this here. So and this 0 will be changed to plus bake per sec, and then plus, and then quote, and then finally close the line with a semicolon. So you can see what's happening here. We're replacing the certain numbers within that line, within the text, to be actual variables. So now we need to kind of make those variables actually real, as it were. So if we remember, on the button itself, the Buy Baker button, it links to this game object and has start auto cookie, and that's the actual method we're calling from the button. So it is in purchase log here, and it starts auto cookie. So when we do that, we then need to add the baker count in global baker. So we're going to need to change these to static. So static, and let's save that script. So currently, remember, they are 0. So in auto cookie, sorry, not auto cookie, purchase log, after here we go global baker dot bake per sec plus equals 1. And we will modify this eventually, because we're going to get to a point where our bakers can cook 2 per second. So obviously we need to add in some multiplication, but we'll do that as we go along and build up what we have here. So global baker, again, dot, let's see if we can find the actual, so number of bakers right there, plus equals 1, semicolon, and save. So you can see here, we're changing this text now to actually be something relative. So let's put this into practice. I'm going to change this back to 10, save, and press play. And let's test this out. So hopefully we should be able to make a load of cookies, sell a load of cookies. And okay, so that's still not up here. That's my fault. Baker stat. Okay. Yeah, that's my fault. So it's number of bakers and bake per sec. I have that wrong. Number of baker. Oh, hang on. No, I have got that right, haven't I? So let me save. Have I done that right here? Baker stats. Oh, I've not applied the. Sorry, that's my fault. Is that the right one? So sorry guys, I'm just getting myself a little bit confused there. I need to add in there baker stats. There we are. So that's why that wasn't working. So let's clear the errors, press play again, and now let's test this out. So we've got cookies, let's sell them, buy baker, and there we go, bakers 1 at 1 per second. So if we make some more, make $20, buy another one, that should increase. So although this is working, it's not actually increasing our cookies per second. So let's get onto this with our levels of the automaker. So what we need to do is auto cookie. This is the one which creates the actual cookies themselves, if I remember. So auto create cookie ends up being turned on. And we need to reference the global baker value to get this working correctly. So the global cookie count equals internal increase, so that it'll display what we have here. So I'm just going to go through this code and change cookie increase. So create the cookie. Create cookie equals false. Yep, that's fine. So we need to add in here the cookie increase. So cookie increase needs to reference the global baker. That's it. So cookie increase equals global baker dot bake per sec semicolon, and hopefully what should happen here is when we change this to 2, it should increase naturally. So again, let's test this all out and just make sure that all our methods are working. So we'll make 25 cookies and we'll sell 25 cookies, and yeah. So let's buy baker at 1 per second. We see that going up. So let's make some cookies, sell some cookies. Then there we go. You can see that going up in increments of 2 now. So we're making 2 cookies per second because we have 2 bakers. And then obviously the different levels of Autocreate allow us to literally take this further and further and further and further and further. So once we get to 40, we'll do 3 per second. And there we go. So that is a way of having different levels of Autocreate. Now, I'm going to change this back to 50, although we'll probably change it back to 10 at some point anyway, because we'll be testing. But what we'll eventually get onto is using the same method to sell the cookies. So we could be, we'll have a store saying selling so many cookies at so many per second. So let's move on to something a little different now. Let's move away from a little bit of complicated coding and have something nice and simple. Let's just have a nice sound effect when we buy a baker. So in our assets, right click, create, and folder, and we'll have audio. Now we're not going to have too much audio in this, so we don't need to separate it into different folders. I have this little chime sound here, which I'm going to bring in, and you can get it on the website for free. Head over there, downloads and assets, and we'll add this to our main camera. So right click on main camera, create empty, F2 to rename, and button chime, and drag and drop that onto there. Now I think this may be a little bit loud, so I'm going to decrease the volume to 0.3, and I'm going to untick play on awake. The reason I've unticked play on awake is because we don't want it to play when the game starts. We only want it to play on command when we press the button. So down here we have a couple of different options that aren't too important, to be honest. The only one you really need to use is volume, possibly pitch. The pitch, we might play with that in a minute actually. You don't need any of these ticks. We don't need to loop it. We don't need it on awake. It's all good as it is. So in our script for buy baker, which is I can't remember where it was. It's this one, isn't it? Purchase log, is that the one? Button object, purchase log, auto create cookie. That's the one. What we'll do is add in another variable, and this one will be called audio source rather than a game object, and we'll have it play sound semicolon. So once we press the button, first thing we want to do is play that sound. So you can go play sound dot play, close bracket, semicolon, and save. So now on that button object, we just need to add in that variable. So button chime onto there, and let's press play and see if it works. So I'll change that back to 10. See guys, I told you we need to change it back to 10 at one point. 10, save. You'll do it quite a lot for testing during this kind of game, because you don't want to be sat there forever trying to make a cookie, and you know. There we go. Perfect. So we yet again, I'll change that back to 50 and save. So guys, next episode, what we'll do is we'll take a little bit of a step backwards again, because it's not good to constantly concentrate on one thing during development. It can send your brain insane, trust me. So we'll take a look at backgrounds, a main menu, and possibly some background music as well, just some nice relaxing background music. So guys, until the next episode, thank you very much for watching.